I'm glad to welcome you to my channel, English and German Languages, and today we will talk about what prevents people from learning a foreign language. My name is Georgi Grankod, and I have been teaching English and German for 18 years. Enough time to make some important conclusions. So, what prevents you from mastering the language? First, this is a lack of motivation. Many people learn the language because they have to, because everyone learns and I don't want to be worse, because they are forced by someone superior, and so on. All these reasons are not motivation. You can't learn the language this way. Motivation is an inner state in which you would rather die than give up what you have already started. If you have the motivation of a person who will shot in a couple of months, if he doesn't speak a foreign language, then you will definitely succeed. Second, this is laziness. Where there is no motivation, laziness begins. Laziness is a consequence of the lack of discipline in a student. Discipline is formed by regular conscious exercises in what you do. That is, in order for it to form, constant practice is needed. Third, false beliefs or stereotypes. For example, language can be learned only in the environment. Or, I only need a native teacher so that I can speak. Or, grammar is not needed, we need to talk more during a lesson. Or, homework is not needed, let's do everything in class. So there are a lot of these false ideas. Later I will dedicate to them a separate video. Fourth, this is when a student believes that he or she is smarter than the teacher. This opinion is also reinforced by the axiom that whoever pays orders the music. This is expressed, for example, in the fact that such a student ignores the teacher's recommendations and acts in his or her own way. The teacher advises to retell the texts, but the student doesn't retell. The teacher advises a certain textbook or a textbook ad, and the student chooses by himself what materials to study. Thus, the experience and knowledge of the teacher are negated. Their own stupidity comes out in the first place. The result is that such a person doesn't learn the language, or learns and learns, and there is no end in sight. Fifth, self-justification. I don't have time, or I'm tired. I have a lot of work. I have to go on business. I have an urgent meeting. My child got sick, and so on. So such people are afraid to admit to themselves that they just have weak will, and besides, they do not know how to allocate time in a proper way. So they know nothing or very little about time management. Sixth, a lack of understanding of the need for regular classes. For example, some people are well aware that if you do not visit the gym regularly, the results of previous workouts are lost. But the same people do not want to transfer this understanding to other processes in life, in particular to learning a foreign language. In language, as in sports, if you don't do it, you lose what you have already learned. While studying the language, if you haven't reached the B2 C1 level yet, you cannot take breaks. Some parents, either out of a desire to save money or thinking that their child should take a break from studying in the summer and during other holidays, they stop classes, not realizing that a significant or large part of the money they previously paid is wasted, as the child manages to have such a good rest over the summer that by September he comes to classes with a completely clean head, which has to be filled in anew. Fortunately, not everyone is like that, and many understand what I have just said about. Personally, I never leave anyone, and it doesn't matter if I'm on a trip or on vacation. I teach everywhere. The online format of classes allows it. I teach classes even on my birthday. 7th. It's strange, but there are still people who seriously think that offline classes are better and more effective than online ones. That is a very big misconception. Why do you need to receive someone at home or drag yourself to someone, sit on a chair that is often uncomfortable, in an environment that shackles? Wouldn't it be easier to get comfortable in a chair, pour yourself what you love, turn on your PC monitor and get all the same information that you or your child would receive offline? No one will infect you. You don't need to treat anyone with tea. You don't need to stand in the corridor and accompany the teacher explaining something to him, although you have no desire for that. 8th. Wrong choice of a teacher. Many people choose not according to the principle, I need a good teacher, and I understand that a good one can't be cheap, but according to the principle of the cheaper the better, inventing for themselves the very argument that, after all, both teachers, both conditionally expensive and conditionally cheap, graduated from university, sometimes from the same one. They both had some experience and generally both are specialists. So what is the difference between them? Such people ask themselves. People with such logic, for some reason, do not come to mind a lot of opposite facts from life, which they fully understand and share. For some reason, a queue of patients is lined up to Dr. A, and they try to avoid Dr. B. For some reason, both Renault and Mercedes, just released from the assembly line, cost differently, although both cars are equally new. The quality of teaching is determined not only by the experience of the teacher, but also by the quality of his personality, his abilities as a person to convey the necessary information to his students so that it is understood and assimilated by them. In the modern world, cheaper means worse in quality. And a reasonable person understands that he is not rich enough to pay for poor quality service. Yes, he can save some, but what he'll get will not satisfy him. The 9th. Lack of understanding of the real price that the person himself must pay for the desired result. I mean here not money but efforts. To learn a language, not just somehow, but well or perfectly, requires a lot of work. It's a lot of effort and time. In a good way, it demands more than 1 year. In a serious way, it means several years of regular classes and conscientious work. The most part of this work must be done by a student outside of school hours. Nowadays, people want to get everything quickly and immediately. They don't want to sweat, don't want to bother. That's how they seem to express themselves. It won't work that way with a foreign language. Anyone who promises to teach you how to speak quickly and effortlessly is just a cheater. 10th, we live in a big market where getting benefits is a number one dominant in the behavior of most people. Therefore, when you hear that a certain coach promises you that you will speak in a month after buying his miraculous course, you need to remember about this dominant. People want money, and in order to get it, they invent different ways, often dishonest. They create a lot of new products that are information dummies, but being wrapped in a beautiful package and promoted with the help of advertising, they turn into a tasty bait for naive and gullible people. To play fair, you need to have knowledge and will, and a lot of people do not have both of this in our time. Therefore, there is only one way of genuine success. This is a classical way of learning a language, step by step, under the guidance and the supervision of an experienced teacher. Studying the structure of language, grammar, vocabulary, phonetics, literature, the construction of spoken and written speech. I invite you to my English, German, and Russian classes, where you are guaranteed to learn a foreign language, naturally trying to avoid the aforementioned mistakes in the process. My contacts are in the description under the video. See you soon.